What is going on, everyone, and welcome to ToyShopFab. Last video we played around with my 59 GMC pickup, gave it one heck of a facelift inside this engine compartment, put on that nice shiny fast fuel injection throttle body, and on this video we're going backwards. That's right, we're taking the throttle body off, gonna put a carburetor on it. That's right, we're gonna put a carburetor on my 59 GMC corn cob here. Now I know the last couple videos we've been goofing around with this truck. I've been saying we are gonna run my old fuel injection system here so I can run E85 through this truck. But some of you might remember as I was goofing off and playing around with my other 59 GMC pickup truck, rebuilding the carburetor on it. I had a cheap carburetor rebuild kit that I said I wanted to do for another project, and that project was to rebuild this carburetor right here. Now this is an old busted up, and I mean busted, Holley 750 carburetor. As you can see, looks like it has been buried for a little while. It is somewhat taken apart already, some of the pieces. Our base plate, as you can see, has been broken, and somebody tried JB welding it back together. It is all rusted up. Linkage is, primary's open, secondaries are kind of stuck. So what I want to do is I want to rebuild this carburetor. I got a can of Chem Dip right here. We're going to be pulling this thing apart, throwing the parts in there, cleaning them all up. Here is what's left of that carburetor rebuild kit I have. And something I wanted to check out is something you can buy on eBay is this guy right here. This nice shiny base plate off eBay. It's from a company called Deep Motor. Now I'm not sponsored or anything like that, and this thing was it's roughly $100. Right? It's billet and it's purple. It's also cheaper than the black one. But that's right. We're going to run it anyways. I just want to see how well this thing works. It's got our vacuum port in the back for our brake booster or whatever. It moves the two vacuum ports up front to the side. Easier to get to than these little guys. I don't know if you can see it up front. So a little more accessible. And the neat thing I see on this too is it's got... looks like it has idle screws on both the primary and the secondary. That's kind of neat. So we're going to see how that works. But plus this is kind of like a cheaper alternative for this truck right here. Now I know I am going to run that fuel injection system. I am going to run E85 through it. But here's a neat thing that I haven't really done a whole lot of on this channel. So we're going to get this thing tore apart. I'm going to put you in the stand. Kind of do well, not really a step-by-step because it's not carburetor. It's been a long time since I played with the carburetor, and we're going to learn. I'm going to relearn, and hopefully you learn or pick up something as well. So let's get you in the stand and start getting this thing apart. All right, so let's start by getting the, let's take this guy off. Our little air cleaner bolt. Side there, flip this around. Let's get this broken base plate off. These are all like number 3 Phillips screws on the bottom here. Go ahead and get all those out. Now this thing is junk. I'm sure the parts are probably okay and can be transferred to another base plate if you were to pick a used one up or something off eBay or Marketplace. But I'm just going to throw this thing away. All right, carburetor's all torn apart. I was going to do a walkthrough, but as I started going through it, it was so mismatched and most of the stuff was loose. I just, you know what, time lapse. Get it all apart. Hope you guys like that. But most of the time, all you're going to need is like a big regular screwdriver for like your little plugs on the side, your needle and seats, stuff like that. You'll need a larger regular screwdriver to get those out. You'll need a smaller regular screwdriver to get the screws out of the floats inside your float bowls. You will need either a small number, my goodness. You need a number 3 Phillips for the screws on your base plate. And you might need a 8mm or 5/16 too to get the screws out of your float bowls. In this case, I just needed the large regular screwdriver, so that is basically all you will need. And if I didn't say it already, a pick kind of helps with your clips and stuff like that. Get those off your linkage. But other than that, that is all you really need to get these things apart. Here's the mess I got on the table. So there is our secondary float bowl, secondary hardware, our secondary float bowl hardware. And here's small Phillips. Here is the Allen. These are the hardwares that we're holding our accelerator pump housing on. Here's our needle and seat for the secondaries. Here's our little view plug for the side. Secondaries had a larger accelerator pump, which is cool. And I'm glad that this guy is still firm because we are going to reuse that. Spring's still in good shape. Our little check ball in there, I did check. I don't know if you can hear it, but it does move around. It is not stuck, but it does need to be cleaned. It's got some gunk in there that needs to be cleaned out. And on the inside as well. Here are our jets. Here's our fitting on the outside of the bowl. This one's different size than the primary, so I don't know what was going on with this carburetor. Like I said, it's one that was given to me. I think it was a parts carburetor because everything, like I said, was loose. Here's our power valve. This one still feels good, which is good because I only got one replacement. Here is our metering block. You can see there is some junk in there, and we got a gasket stuck to this side. We're going to get this soaking in our Kim dip over there, kind of loosen this up. Last thing I want to do is take a scraper or a razor blade and gouge the heck up out of this thing. So we're going to soften that up pretty good. That way we can get it off. Here's our throttle body, or our carburetor body. Everything is pretty good, actually, not too bad. A little bit of debris from our gasket, but not too bad. Here is our squirters. Got one there, one there. Now this one here was missing one of the little check rods. And if you don't know what that is, that's this guy right here. He drops inside that hole, so when you let off your accelerator pump, this kind of plugs that hole up, allowing fuel to be pulled back into the accelerator pump diaphragm, and kind of helps limit the amount of fuel that gets pulled through at wide open throttle. So our secondaries was missing that, so I don't know how well that big guy worked, but we are going to... This is a nail for a Hilti. If you don't know what that is, it's like a 22 caliber. It uses 22 caliber blanks to fire these things into concrete. And it is the same diameter as that guy right there. So I took it over to our belt sander, sharpened up the tip a little bit to make it match what we got. And then I'll go ahead and measure it, cut it off, smooth it out. That way we have a replacement part. But here's our parts scattered on the table. Now I'm going to go ahead and get the throttle body, or our center, our body here, our fuel bowls, metering box, get those soaking and that stuff right there. And while that is soaking, we're going to get up underneath this truck, run a fuel line from our factory tank to one of these guys here. And I'll make sure to put a link to most of the stuff in the description. This is like a $10, $15 clicky-clacky pump, about 5 to 7 PSI. We're going to run that up to the front there, plug into this carburetor once we get it rebuilt. So we're going to walk through all that. And yeah, let's get this stuff in. I'll be right back. All right, carburetor is stewing. Looks like it's cooking up pretty good. Actually looks pretty clean. It has been in this stuff already for the last couple hours. I'm gonna let it go ahead and soak for a few more hours. Just make sure it's all nice and clean. And I've been letting it do that while I've been going through the shop here, trying to find all the parts I need to go from our factory fuel tank up front to that carburetor. So here is what I've got so far. Up underneath the truck here. Now, here is our factory line where we got from the tank. Now all that will be changed, but I'm hoping right now that's still in fairly decent shape. But it comes to our factory line right here, and I've got a couple of, where are they? Let's see. Got a couple of those guys right there. We're gonna go from the steel line to our fuel filter. As a matter of fact, let's see if I can go ahead and just kind of do this one-handed. So there we go. Got that line there. Grab our fuel filter. This is a Wix see-through filter. Now you want to make sure you got this going the right direction, so we're going to go this way. Fuel comes in, goes around the outside of our element, and then out this way here. So go ahead and put that guy right there, and then we'll grab our other little fuel line chunk. That's going to go right on our pump there. This guy's going to go right here. So we got from our factory tank down. It's going to come in through our see-through filter and into our low pressure pump. Now this guy here should be about 5 to 7 psi. That is what it advertised on eBay, which is perfect for that carburetor. Carburetors only take 5 to 7 psi anyways. More than that, you're going to overpower your needle and seat, and you're just going to spit a bunch of fuel out the vents. So, but that is the setup now to our inline pump to run to our carburetor. Now from that point, if you're going to keep it carbureted, you can either go down and find yourself some more 5/16 or 3/8 steel fuel line, run it up the frame rail as far as you can, and then come off that, run it up to another filter and run into your carburetor. Which or what I'm going to do, because I do plan on, like I keep saying, I'm going to run this truck on E85 with that fuel injection system that I have. So from our inline pump where I'm at now, I'm going to go ahead and convert it over to -6 and run this PTFE line all the way up front to where the carburetor's at, because that's where the throttle body will be. So it'd be roughly the same setup up there, so I won't have to change any of that over when I go to E85. And at that point, the only thing I will have to do is change that pump out and that fuel filter and redo that line going to this pump, to that way it's capable of withstanding or supporting E85. It's not going to get all eaten out and stuff like that. If you were just to use like this regular rubber line, it'll kind of dry it out, it'll crack and flake, and it'll start plugging up filters. I mean, I guess you could get away with it in a pinch, but we're going to go ahead and just run from this pump forward with our PTFE line. That way I just have to change out a little bit there. So you can see, not too, I mean, it's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. I just got to get up underneath there now, tighten up those hose clamps on that filter and stuff I've already done. Oh, while I'm here, show you this. So here's our power wires that come out of this pump. Now I just ran the ground back to itself, grounded it to the frame. This guy is our key on power or switched power for the fuel pump. I'm going to go ahead and run it up front to either just like a toggle switch or off our ignition key, or an ignition key when I get to that point. But 2-wire hookup for that pump, grounded it to itself. We'll run that other wire all the way up into probably in front of the glove box somewhere, because I have been taking measurements, and we are go ahead and make a plate that fits up in here. That way I can mount the ignition box, where is that MSD box that I have laying around. We're going to go ahead and mount that up because my fuel injection does require that to run. And then we'll go ahead and make enough room to mount my fuel injection, or the PCM for the fuel injection, right next to it, because I am going to run that. And I want to make sure all that's mounted. But I do want to go through that carburetor and run the carburetor on this as well, because that is definitely a lot more feasible and definitely something a lot of you guys can pick up off Marketplace really cheap, or like me, have an old piece of junk laying in a box somewhere. So I'm gonna go ahead and get up underneath the truck now, make sure all that stuff's tight. Take our measurements here, cut up my square of aluminum so I can get mounted in the glove box. By that time, our carburetor should be done cooking. Go ahead and get you back up in our stand there and we can start putting that thing back together. Good morning. Got sidetracked. Happens more than I'd like to admit, but hose clamps are tight. Everything is ran forward, made up our Dash 6 PTFE line to go to the carburetor or our throttle body. Need to hit the hardware store, pick up some of those rubber isolated clamps. You guys have seen me use them on pretty much everything I have. I like them. I ran out. I used them up. So, need to pick some of those up. And, well, like I said, made up our Dash 6 line up front. Let me show you guys what I got. So our Dash 6 line runs up the frame rail, comes up underneath our cross member there. It'll run up just like you see it. I'm going to try to make a little bracket or something to help secure that line a little bit better. Here is our secondary filter. Now I'm setting everything up to the way it would be when I put that throttle body back on the truck. So it's just an easy pull the carburetor off, put that on, everything goes. But it'll send our fuel up into our throttle body, pressure up the injectors. It'll come out that side there into our fuel pressure regulator that'll be mounted right here, and then return down across the frame rail into our tank. So that is in the future. Right now, I just need that one line going to the carburetor, and that is pretty close to where the inlet for our carburetor will be. So now that I got that, we need to put that carburetor back together. And I'm going to show you guys what I got so far. I pulled it out. I blew it off last night. But anyways, also said I took a couple measurements, cut out a little, like a 14.5 by 8 3/4 sheet of aluminum to mount where that glove box was. And you guys can see here, I have some lines pulled through our firewall. I got the black and the red for the power to our MSD box. There is our green and our purple for the pickup of the distributor. And these are our coil wires right here, red and black. So those are out. We're going to run them down. My plan is to get the power cables hooked up. These guys are going to run down and under. Try to hide most of this wiring as possible. Try to keep it as clean as possible in this engine bay. So when people, or when the hood's popped and we got it out and people look at it, they're not drawn to a big hunk of wires. Most of that stuff's hidden. And here is where our PCM and our MSD box are hidden. Now I figured this would be a pretty cool little spot for it. Like I said, here's our sheet of aluminum. I drilled some holes, put some nut rivets in it, and it's secured with these 1/4-20 button head stainless Allens. Everything fits in there nice. I can still get to all of these guys here. Our harness is going to plug into here for our PCM, go down, and probably plug up in this side of our firewall, low enough to where you can't see it, in the engine compartment. So that is the plan. And of course, once all of this stuff is wired up and secured, we'll be able to shut that glove box. Won't see nothing. Everything is pretty well hidden. Our harness, as you guys can see, there is, well, it's tidy, right? Doesn't need any work whatsoever, but I'm still gonna go through it. Still gonna shorten it, cut it, get rid of a bunch of stuff I don't need, because once I put it in this truck, I'm pretty much just gonna leave it there wherever this truck goes, whether my kids do with it, hang on to it, play with it, run it, race it, or me, whatever. This is pretty much how it's gonna stay set up, unless we completely change everything. So, gonna make it nice and tidy. Get Seth out here, get him, get his hands on as much as possible. But that little guy, he's got school, he's got work. So, but anyways, all that stuff is done there. Fuel line's done, ran up to our throttle body. Plates cut, MSD box is mounted. ECU is mounted as well. And here is our carburetor. So, Pulled it out last night, got everything all blown off and pretty much cleaned up. This is our primary side. It is waiting to be put back together. Here's our secondary side, and if you guys remember all the corrosion and stuff that was in this bearing block, it's pretty much gone, but all that corrosion and stuff it pitted it a little. Not too bad. Hopefully it shouldn't create too much of an issue, but I should replace that fuel bowl, because besides the pitting in it and someone stuffing one of those screws for the accelerator pump through the bottom of it, so hopefully that doesn't cause leak here. So you can see there, that is the end of that screw. Pretty sure, because here's our primary, you can see there's no holes there for screws to come through. That guy does. Somebody put too long of a screw in there. It's actually a completely different thread pitch than what's supposed to go in that fuel bowl. Someone drilled it out. It's like a 1/4 Phillips screw. There's 3 different thread pitches on that accelerator pump, so it does need a new fuel bowl, but I don't have one right now. That one hopefully will work. I went ahead and mounted our little billet throttle body there. Now, this thing lines up really, really well, nice and flat. The only difference between that one and our factory one so far is it only takes 6 screws to mount to that Holley, that body there. And the original one took 8. So hopefully that doesn't cause an issue. We're going to find out, though. It shouldn't. Everything fit. It felt nice. It fit nice. Gasket was a good fit. So that's where we're at. Now I want to go ahead and get this thing finished, put back together. Everything seemed to clean up fairly decent. And fingers crossed that it works for us without any issues. So I'm going to get you guys in the stand. We'll get this carburetor put back together and get it set on that intake manifold, and we can start wiring. Then we can start wiring up the distributor that's going to go in this truck. Get all that, get power ran, get some jumper cables made so we can start testing out our fuel system and get this thing fired up and idling for more than 5 seconds by me just dumping gas down a throttle body. So let's get you in the stand. And let's get this carburetor put back together. And there you have it. Our Holley 750 double pumper has been rebuilt, been pieced together with miscellaneous parts that I have purchased off of eBay, and a homemade little secondary accelerator pump squirter, check rod, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it's called, but it's homemade. But carburetor is put all back together, base plates on, everything is bolted back up to our intake manifold. And if you guys just noticed there, I went ahead and swapped out that HEI with my MSD distributor and coil. If you didn't see last video, go check that out. That goes through everything I do to on how I set up, find top dead center, set up the distributor. And 90% of the time, it works 100% of the time. So if you missed that video, go back, check it out. Everything has been wired up. Got a battery sitting in on our firewall. Everything is wired. Got a couple holes through there with our wires like I showed you. MSD box is all wired up. Everything is good to go. Spent a little time. It's not the correct way to do it, but it is good enough for right now. Got one of these guys here. Everyone has seen these on eBay. They're like anywhere between $15 and $30. Just got power wire running to it. Big red wire turns on the power to accessory 1 and accessory 2, which is our ignition box here. and our fuel pump under the truck. Went ahead and just ran the yellow wire all the way down under the truck, so when I flip that switch, it turns on our eBay clicky clacky pump. Accessory 1 turns on power to our MSD box. So I have got 5 gallons fresh. Yeah, 5 gallons of fresh fuel in this tank. Hopefully that is all that was in this tank, because silly head me didn't check it, so I don't know if there was anything else in that tank. I'm hoping there was nothing else in there. This may or may not bite me. Luckily though, I do have a fuel filter before our little pump and a fuel filter before our carburetor. Fingers crossed that all works. So battery is hooked up. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go ahead and turn on power to our pump. We're gonna get underneath the truck and I'm gonna plug the pump in, and we're gonna see if it'll pull fuel to our filter. So let's turn this guy on. Main power, accessory 2 is our clicky clacky pump down there, our fuel pump. So let's get on our little guy here, get up underneath the truck, plug that thing in. All right, so there's our filter. You see there is no fuel in it. Here is our yellow wire coming from that little switch panel there. Go ahead and plug these guys in real fast. All right, our pump is pumping. All right, got nothing yet. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'll just leave this guy plugged in, and well, I'm gonna get you guys over here so you can watch it. Let's see. There we go. Get you guys set up. I'll turn that pump back on. Oops. I'm going to put an air hose to the tank. Okay, that didn't work. So, you guys saw there on the video, I pulled the fuel line off. At first, I tried pressuring up the tank to get it to push through, because I thought maybe, just maybe, it wasn't, you know, it needed a little help. That didn't work, so I jumped underneath there. You guys saw me, I pulled the line off, tried blowing backwards through, and nothing. So, that told me either our tank is full of rust, which it has rust in it, or our little sock was plugged up. And so I pulled the sending unit out, and here is what that little pickup sock looks like. As you guys can see there, all the shiny, it is completely, focus, plugged off. So we are definitely not pulling any fuel from in there, from through that thing. So, and here is, see if I can get in here so you guys, you can see there is a little bit of rust at the bottom of the tank, but I also see fuel. So the tank definitely needs to come out and be washed out, but I'm not going to do that right now because I'm not. What I am going to do though is, because I have two fuel filters on this setup, I'm going to go ahead and just take this sock off of this pickup tube, put this back in the tank, and then we'll get back up underneath the truck. I'll turn that fuel pump back on and see if we're pulling any fuel through that filter. So we put this, I'm gonna take the sock off, put it back in the tank, and I'll see you guys here in a sec. All right, sending unit has been replaced back in the tank, screen pulled off. But before I do anything, I want to show you guys what the screen looked like again. Hear that? See, that's our screen. Now, I don't know. You hear how full that is? So just pulling this off didn't actually clear it up. I don't know if you can see in there, but this thing is completely plugged off solid. And I tried picking at it at first and just said, nope, not doing it. So I cut the bottom of it off. The tube is all clear. Added about I want to say a 5-inch piece of rubber hose to get back on the bottom of the tank. Hopefully it doesn't suck up any big chunks. If it does, we'll blow back through it. That piece obviously has to be replaced. Tank obviously has to come out and be cleaned. So this will at least serve as for testing, really, for this carburetor. Pretty sure after all this, I want to upgrade. We'll get the tank out of the truck. I'll come up with something to go back there in between the frame rails. But for right now, this is what we got. So we're going to use it. All right, let's get underneath the truck. Plug in our pump and see if we can pull some fuel. So, see there, we got nothing there. We'll go ahead and just see if we can pull any fuel. Get up on top here and see if I can't help it along. All right, doesn't look great. does not look good at all, but it's got fuel. So turn the power on to our ignition. Let's see. Got nothing to the carburetor yet. I'm gonna go ahead and start it off with some fresh fuel. We're going to go ahead and just fill the bowls. At least the primary. You see I've only got the primary hooked up because I have not received my fuel line yet for the carburetor. So I just came up with this little guy here. Okay, got a little bit. See if our squirter works. Yep, we got squirters. Grab this guy here. A little bit more. Come on. Couple more pumps. Let's see, get a good shot of those squirters. Oh yeah, and that's disgusting fuel. So looks like we got some of that bad fuel in there. Hopefully it runs. It's trying. It is trying. Turn our idle screw up just a little bit more. Hopefully that's all it needs. Whew. Yeah, I don't think that feels any good. Well, let me see. I'm gonna get you guys in the stand and see if we can't. Yeah, see if I can't get this. Keep this thing running just a little bit longer. Okay. Love you too. who's here. Hey. Little guy got off work. Ooh, almost going down. This is what happens when you leave a mess in your shop, right? You don't clean up after yourself. Anyways, we got it all figured out. Truck fires up, it runs. Matter of fact, just for giggles, let's see what happens right now. I've been goofing off with it, but come in here, got our little switch panel on. Fires right up. We got it all figured out. Everything's working. There must have been some kind of little, like a little bit more of an obstruction in the fuel line. Because I don't know if you guys could tell on that video as I was goofing around and goofing off with it. I all of a sudden took off. Because I had this little guy out here, this little screw. And I was playing with the needle and seat, trying to see where the fuel was at on this. And I was playing with it. I had a little pick in there playing with the float. I didn't know what was going on, and then all of a sudden there's the fuel. So it was flowing. So adjusted it back, put it back in there, hit that button or trigger, and it fired right up. And that is awesome. Showed you guys at the beginning of the video. This is a carburetor that's been sitting on that bench over there. I got it years ago from a buddy of mine because the base plate was broken, didn't work. I don't remember if I showed you as we were going through it. There was pieces missing in it. It was taken apart once before and just kind of thrown in there. So, but we got it taken apart. We got it cleaned up. We got it put back together with a new base plate from eBay and a $20 parts from a $20 rebuild kit. Now, I'm not going to recommend you buy a $20 rebuild kit off of eBay because 9% of those gaskets, let's just say the metering block gaskets didn't work. They were cut funny. Holes didn't quite line up. The fuel bowls or the float bowls gaskets, those lined up. Those worked just fine. The base plate gasket worked just fine. But the metering block gaskets weren't correct. They weren't quite right. Luckily, I had some reusable rubber ones that I had for a while. Those seem to be doing the trick. I did not use the accelerator pump, I believe, because the one that came with the kit was a little hard. And these screws here, even though this kit came with new needles and seats, the screws that came with them did not fit, so I had to use the old ones. So if you're going to get a rebuild kit, I recommend buying a nice higher dollar one, mainly the one from Holley that goes to that carburetor. So, but luckily I was able to get it to work. Everything works just fine. Carburetor's not leaking. It fires up, it idles, accelerator pump on the primary works. And I will make sure everything on the secondary works as well once I get our new fuel line. So, now that I've said all that, let's get to the real reason why, or one of the main reason why I wanted to do this video today, and that is because I have not done a giveaway in quite some time. So, you guys out there, you don't have to be subscribed. You really don't. All I want you to do is hit that like button, comment done, and once this video hits 1,500 likes, as long as you commented done, I will pick a winner to give that carburetor away, a Inline Wix 33003 fuel filter. Yes, it's made in China, but it's an Inline clicky-clacky pump. It works actually very, very well so far on this one. And 2 feet of 3/8 fuel line. Now this is going to help one of you guys out there on one of your projects. Either you need it to get it running or you need to trade it for something to help you get running. Either way, it doesn't matter. I want more to interact with you guys, and I figured what better way than to get you guys, hit that like button for me. Comment done, 1,500 likes. I will be giving all this to one of you guys. So, share the heck out of this thing. But I have to get cleaned up now. Get ready for the next part of this whole build. I'm very, very excited. This thing is up and running. This big block sounds absolutely amazing with open headers, but we can't leave it that way. So I've got to get some parts together. I think what we'll do now or next is start working on our brakes, start working on some exhaust, so we can get in this thing and put it around, get it moving, right? It sounds great sitting here idling, but we need to get it going. So anyways, you guys, I got to get cleaned up. I'm going to end this one right here. Share the heck out of this video. Hit that like button. Get 1,500 likes. I will be giving the carburetor, fuel filter, inline pump, and that fuel line away to one of you guys out there. So help me grow. Help me build. Help this guy get out here. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate all your guys' support. I appreciate all you for watching. But again, if you have made it this far, hit that subscribe button for me. Share it with your friends. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think.
Thank you for watching the video.
I'll see you guys on the next one.